So that, for example, if you have in PistonRobot a space that you're drawing in, and you are attempting to have a structure that you want to look at, then we can look at this structure and call this the ground, and now we've made that a three-dimensional object, and it's there just to be the ground. On top of this object or above this object, we can create another object, and we can give this object some dimensionality. And from this view, you can see that this physical object is above the other object. And we can again add some size to this structure. And we can actually make this structure so that it does not have full symmetry. And the reason we want to demonstrate an object that does not have full symmetry is to show the difference between an understanding of different viewpoints. So this object has now been created as a group. And as we look at this, we can see that sort of this is the ground, this is down, this is up, this is down on the ground. So many people would see this as being the y-axis, and just the way we're holding this drawing, this going off to the side here would be the x-axis, and this axis that's coming out at you would be the z-axis. And one of the ways to look at this object is to look at it, and then another way to look at it is to say, well, let's look at it where we can look at the bottom of it more clearly. And so you can actually take this whole thing. Notice that the solid blue axis here is going straight up. We can turn this entire object upside down and look at the bottom of it. But we have not actually altered the relationship of these objects with their axes. We've just flipped the whole thing. But what used to be the y-axis pointing up is in essence now the y-axis pointing down. And if we turn this back over again and say, well, that's not really what we wanted to do. We had this object here and we didn't like this object this way. It should have been the other way. And so we can pick this object and we can turn this object over. And what we've done with this object at this point is altered our point of view of the object because the object is now flipped upside down. And you'll notice that the blue solid is now pointing up like it's supposed to. The ground is on the ground where it's supposed to be. And this object has been turned over. So these are the two different ways that you can visualize three-dimensional structures. One is to turn the entire thing, the axes, the point of view, everything. The other way to visualize the object is to leave your references and your point of view alone and move the object around. And this is the convention that SketchUp uses. It's our opinion that SketchUp found that most people simply cannot get themselves straight with a y-axis being anything other than straight up. And in addition, you would have to put the letter Y right here. And if you made this view bigger and smaller, your Y would have to get bigger and smaller. It's confusing and hard to draw. And so the SketchUp programming does not have Y, Z, and X. They just have different colors. They have blue, green, and red. We tend to always let blue be up. It's just the way we tend to draw it. It's not required, but if you use the same convention every time, it's less confusing. There's a possibility our computer may have a little blue alien living inside the computer. We asked him if he would help us to show you the name of the next video in our series about PistonRobot. And he said, sure.